Hello ladies and gentlemen, fairies and leprechauns, welcome back. It's great to see you again. What is the crack? Today we're going to be talking about my experience with psychedelics and psychosis. So I'm going to be explaining all the psychedelics that I have taken, what they were like, and the similarities between my psychedelic experiences and my psychosis episodes. A list of the psychedelics that I have taken include mushrooms, magic mushrooms, truffles, LSD and changa. A couple of other drugs that I have taken that some people classify as psychedelics, some people don't, is MDMA and ketamine. Starting with the two that people either associate or don't associate with being psychedelics, I will very shortly tell some stories on my experiences with them. Starting off with MDMA. MDMA is got a nickname known as magic because the effects that you can have on MDMA can be magic. It puts you into a euphoria state. If you ever listen to music while on MDMA, all you wanna do is dance, baby. It's fair to say I've had some magic experiences on MDMA. I've also had some rough experiences on MDMA, and usually that has happened whenever I have mixed the drug with other drugs and they've not been very clean. The reason I know they're not very clean is because I got a lot of it for extremely cheap, which you do not get unless it's dirty. Ketamine then. I'm going to share with you two short stories involving ketamine and me. The first short story was kind of similar to a psychedelic experience. I was at an after party in Dublin. We were in a football stadium, of all places, a first division football stadium, pretty cool. And I had this bag of kit and I was sharing it around and I took a load of keys, and then what happened in my visuals is, if I can explain to you in simple terms, like you're looking right now, right? And you can see this far wide and this far forward. So if you imagine like your viewpoint is like a rectangle, my viewpoint went further and further and further away, and the outskirts was surrounded by black. It was like I was zooming out of reality. And then these rectangles started to form around it, and it felt like I was spinning forward, like I was spinning through different forms of reality, and these rectangles were going. I then woke up, looked around me, didn't have a fucking clue who was to the left of me, to the right of me. It was a load of cunts I'd never met before. And I was like, where the fuck am I? Do you know who I am? And they were like, yeah, relax, Layo. And then I shouted for my mates and they were down at the bottom of the stadium. They were like, you alright, Layo? The second time then, I was at a festival and I took 2 keys of Rhino kit, which is like the strongest ketamine that you can get. And I should have only taken 1 key. I K-holed immediately. And I seen the lights of a festival stage and I tried to run towards them, and then my body just collapsed on me. I could not move any limbs. And I landed on the beach, just laying there, and I could not move. I couldn't move for 45 minutes. And while I was lying on the sand, people were walking over me. Like a footstep literally went over my face. It's a fucking miracle that no one stood on me. It was horrifying. That was the last time I took it, and it's the last time I will ever take it. Now on to the proper psychedelics. Starting with truffles. I took truffles whenever I was in Amsterdam because they are legal. I took them with the boys and I had a fucking class time at the start. I was talking so much, I was so full of energy, I could feel like this energy rising through my back. And then my friend said, Leo, would you shut up? And this turned my world upside down. And my thought process inside of my head panicked. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And then, to tell you a little bit of a secret, I actually went to Amsterdam because I called in sick to work. They wouldn't give me a third holiday. So I was like, fuck yous, I'm gonna leave soon anyway. I'm calling sick. But that day, my manager rang me and I had to reply, before the end of the working day, or else I would have got in trouble. Of course, I didn't message him until I was in my tripping state. And whenever I realised, I was like, fuck, I've got to message my manager. I looked at my phone and the screen was just completely white. I couldn't see a fucking thing on it. One of my friends had to help me message my manager, and we were halfway through the message and then he went to the toilet. I looked up and forgot he went to the toilet. I was like, where the fuck is he? And in my panic state, I threw my phone across the floor and everyone around me was laughing. But the message got sent and I don't even think he replied to it. So, a waste of a panic. The experience was horrible, I really wanted it to end. Magic mushrooms then, I've taken them a couple of times. A couple of times they've worked, a couple of times they've not, and I've had a very mixed experience with them. The first time I took magic mushrooms, my friend in Belgium was growing them himself, and he made a tea out of them for all of us to drink. It was delicious. We mixed it with honey, and one of my mates, he didn't take any mushrooms and he was like the mediator, making sure everyone's okay, also smoking joints, so we could smoke some joints if he wanted to, which is class. He put on Psy Trance and we fucking danced away, it was unreal. And then I was like, yo lads, I gotta show you this music video. I'm gonna add a clip of the music video if I can. I might not be able to play the song for copyright purposes, but I'll add on another Psy Trance track. Pretty cool visuals, right? So we were watching this video, and in order for the laptop to be connected to the Wi-Fi, it had to be at one end of this room. We were at the table and chairs though, which was at the other end of the room. So we were looking at this laptop from about 6 meters away. Quite a long distance. And the laptop, as you can imagine, was not a very big screen. So we were looking at this tiny screen really far away. And while I was looking at this screen, there was shadows moving around the outside of this screen. These shadows were actually almost identical to the shadows that I experienced with my psychotic episodes. The only difference being that with my psychotic episodes, the shadows were right up in my face, moving towards me. And it was fucking petrifying. We then realised how far away this laptop screen was from us, and we decided to move our chairs towards the laptop. Fucking genius, right? Following that, LSD. Lucy in the sky of diamonds. LSD was fucking class. Yeah! LSD really showed me the power of psychology. It showed me my love for psychology and showed me a whole new respect and understanding for nature. My first trip really benefited me for the better. My second trip, however, I took it in an environment that I was not comfortable with people that I didn't know, and it brought up some underlying trauma that had not been addressed, and I did not know how to deal with it, and it fucked me up for a couple of weeks, maybe years, who knows. So it's a powerful drug, you do not want to mess with it. Finally then, we've got changa. Changa is usually between 30 and 50% DMT, and the rest is mixed with remedial herbs. You smoke it in like a joint form, and whenever you smoke it, you inhale and you play taxi, so you hold the smoke in for as long as you can. While smoking this, your visuals just light up around you, and it's like jumping into fucking Mario Kart, man. Everything is alive and the lights are so vibrant. I took it at a psychedelic festival, and holy fuck, man, see the visuals, the colours that I seen are unexplainable. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And the one thing that I learned from that trip is that everything around us is alive. While looking at the trees, you could see mechanics in the trees, like, you know, circular rotation of mechanic symbols. It was fucking amazing. So that's all the psychedelics I've taken. You could say that cannabis has got some psychedelic states. Actually, yeah. The third time I smoked cannabis, I smoked it in a blunt in my local park, and I was 15 years old, and whenever I smoked it, I took 3 draws, and everyone else was coughing their lungs up smoking this blunt, right? and I smoked the first 2 draws. I didn't cough. Everyone was like, yo Leo, big smoke. And then I took a big draw for my 3rd one and I coughed my lungs up and I felt so fucking ill. And then I opened my eyes and it felt like I was in a game. I looked at the trees in front of me and it just did not look real. It was pretty fucking uncomfortable, and I didn't smoke then for like a year after that. So that is my experience with psychedelics and psychosis, and my little shroom story there is the resemblance that I had with my psychotic episode and psychosis. A question for you guys that have psychosis. Would you be willing to try psychedelics in a comfortable environment with a professional mediator? I have thought about this question a lot, with my previous use of psychedelics. For sure, I would definitely not use psychedelics with someone who's not a trained professional, whether that's in transpersonal psychology or clinical psychology or a psychiatrist. I would potentially use it though for research purposes. Like I said in my previous video on past, present and future psychedelics and psychosis research, holotropic breathwork does activate states of psychosis. And if I'm being truly honest, the states that you get with psychedelics, it's like a fast track of meditation. So the best thing to do if you want to experience these levels of psychedelic experiences is learn how to meditate and be consistent with the practice. That's what I really recommend for anyone with psychosis, because it will bring up past memories that you've forgotten about, and it will help you come to terms with dealing with that trauma, and it will help you bring an inner peace and a more satisfactory life. That's my experience with meditation anyway. There are some dangers with meditation if you take pharmaceutical medication. I have an article that I read recently on the dangers of meditation and pharmaceutical medication that I will add in the link in the description. But yeah, I'd be very tempted to try psychedelics again. However, I probably won't, because I'd be scared of going back into an extreme psychotic state. Other psychedelics that are extremely interesting is 5-MeO-DMT, which comes from a toad, DMT, which comes from a plant, I believe, ayahuasca, peyote, and many more that I don't know the names of. If you're interested in psychedelics, then I recommend you watch Hamilton Morris's Pharmacopoeia. He's a fucking super interesting chemist, and his TV show is probably the best TV show I have seen to date. Thank you very much for listening, Leprechauns. See you next week.